Okay, welcome back to this SQL course. So now let's create another table that we'll use to populate with data from our MySQL database. Now, for example, I may want to create a table that only contains the PG movies. So the movies that have as a rating, and let's check where we can see that, Sakila.film, where we have this rating as PG. Well, I know that I can go here and, for example, do a where clause, as we've learned. So where rating is equal to PG. Now imagine that I would only like to store 3 columns. The film ID, let me go here, film ID, the title and the description. For example, I would only like to store this in my PG movies table. So I would have all the movies with PG, their ID, title and description. Well, I can create a table here. I'm going to create table, sakila.pg movies. And then I'm going to create, this is also a good thing for you to check before creating these tables that will receive data from other tables. Let's of course describe the sakila.film. For instance, I see that the film ID is a small int. I see that the title is a varchar 128 and I see that the description is a text. In this way, confirming this and knowing that this will get data from the sakila.film table, I will not have conflicts with the data types. So I'm going to create this table, closing it, and let's create it. So of course, right now, this PG movies, select all from PG movies, is empty. Of course, whoops, forgot the database name, sakila.pg movies. And of course, if I go here, it's empty, no PG movies inside. So now I can use, of course, insert into sakila.pg movies, and what I can do, I can pass all the columns, so film ID, title and description. Close this one, and now what I can do is, of course, passing our query exactly as is. This will work just fine. Notice, as we are selecting 3 columns here, we can use these 3 columns to insert them into this table. So if I run this, let's check. There you go, 129 rows affected. That means that we've successfully inserted here inside the sakila.pg movies all the movies with the PG rating as we wanted. Let's do a final exercise, which is going here, and I'm going to refresh this here. You can also drop tables here, remember? I'm going to drop it instead of using code. I'm going to do drop now. I'm going to do something. I'm going to change, for example, this varchar. Instead of being a varchar, I'm going to put the title as a small int. This is of course on purpose, a mistake on purpose. Now let's see what will happen when I try to insert the data from the sakila.film. What will happen is that I have an error. Why? Because the types of the data don't match. So this is super important. Everything complies with these rules of data types, with the rules of the length of the data types, and with the data that is compliant with each of the data types that we have in the table. Everything that we do in SQL revolves around these concepts. This is it for more on select statements. This was a shorter section, but it was also on more advanced topics. We scratched the surface on these concepts, and also it was really important for you to understand how these concepts are probably compound on several things that we've learned. Now SQL is super flexible in treating the results or the sets, for example, each result that we have in a query, and how we can use, and let me pick up something that has data, which makes more sense, and how we can use this data that is already on tables and the resulting queries to either do another select statement on top of it, or to use this data to insert into new tables. So I hope this was clear to you, and of course we'll have now a case study where we'll have the opportunity to work around these concepts. Of course I advise you to do the case study because it will be pretty important for you to practice all these concepts. So thank you very much for enrolling in the course and staying on that side. I hope you've enjoyed everything that we've learned so far, and let's go to the case study.